Hi, and welcome to the Filmmaker's Compass podcast. This is Dustin, joined by Christian. We have another great guest for this episode. Very excited. Christian, give us an introduction.
All right, I'm really excited about this one because this is one of my super good friends.
Super good.
I don't really know how to respond to that. First of all, because I think Super Friends is probably trademarked, so we probably can't actually use that.
Just cut it.
What about Insta Friends?
Insta Friends. Well, we didn't meet on Instagram.
No, you'd be immediate friends, and that's what calls it Insta Friends. It's nothing to do with any social media.
This dictionary slash philosopher is in fact the incredibly talented writer slash director slash production designer slash
Art.
everything.
Cameron.
Just amazing all around human being, Mr. Aaron Maker.
All right. Welcome, Aaron. Glad that you are finally on the show. I know because, well, I think we've both talked to you about this probably going back a year now or something like that.
At least.
Sorry, I'm just sporadic.
Well, we're very excited to have you here. I know Christian actually, well, he's told me a bunch of stories. You've told me a bunch of stories. We probably won't get to all of them on this episode. I do hope that you have some fun stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Aaron and I originally met I would say 8 years ago now.
Yeah, it was a crazy long time. There's a funny story about that.
He wasn't even living in LA at the time. He was out here for a filmmaking workshop. I showed up at the same workshop. I roll in a good.
I kind of want to tell the story.
All right, you can take the story. Take it away.
All right, so I'm late half the time anyways. But for this, I was super serious about it. I had my business suit set. I'm business casual, and I was really serious about this. My first time out in LA for just a film school weekend workshop. It wasn't that big of a deal in context, but it was still kind of important and whatnot. And I was taking it really seriously. And when you're on time, not when you're late, but when you're on time for something, and then the person that shows up late, you secretly, at least this is how I was, person.
That piece of crap.
They don't care about anyone. So anyways, we're in the midway through whatever's going on. And then Christian just barges into the room. We all stop, and not just secretly, politely, sitting in the background. He barges in. Sorry, I'm late. Just traffic. Starts going on this whole spiel. Stops everyone ever has to stop and turn around and look at this guy. And I'm just judging this man.
Yeah, and
that doesn't seem like you. You seem like you're very prompt.
He's like, wow, I hate this dude. Well, normally I am, but when you drive from San Diego to LA during rush hour on a Friday, it's impossible to be prompt.
That's accurate.
So I got in, I was like, hey, what's going on? And apparently, boy, that just
I was secretly judging this
way.
man so hardcore. And then cut to that night, everyone has to share a dorm room essentially with someone else. And of course it's this late son of a bitch.
Wearing a Star Wars t-shirt.
And so I was
Sounds about right.
Great. He's my roommate. And then we started hitting it off, and we're basically business partners.
Were you guys both late the next morning then?
No. But we just, after that first terrible bad impression, that was more on me than him. We were really...
No, I made the bad impression.
Yeah,
I know, but I totally automatically put you on the shit list. And what's funny is, true story, some of my best friends, when I first met them, I did not like them at all for whatever reason. When I was in the Navy, this guy, he showed up, just didn't like him. Like sometimes you just get a bad vibe or
don't like
bad
their face
impression.
or
Their stupid face with their nose and their eyeballs, whatever, same thing. And my best buddy in the Navy, at least when I was on ship, same deal. I didn't like him, and then we just hit it off while we were working together. Great buds. So
funny. And so since that point, not only have we been friends, but we've worked together on a number of projects. And some of them are awesome. Just keep waiting until post-production's finished.
almost there, I swear.
Cut forward. We met, you were still living in Illinois.
I was still in film school.
Where in Illinois?
Yeah. Southern Illinois, going to SIU, Southern Illinois University in
okay.
Carbondale. They have a little film program. So I was studying that, industrial design and creative writing and whatnot. Basically, all the stuff I was interested in, I was studying.
And I remember, obviously, we talked, and when we left the workshop, you're like, okay, something will be back in LA, hopefully. And it actually blew my mind with how quickly you did get back.
It was literally months later.
Yeah.
Because I was planning on this will be my last year in college, and then maybe I'll see you next summer.
Yeah.
And then it was literally months. So just November. When was the workshop? In July or June or something?
Yeah.
Actually, no, I do remember it. It was right before school started.
So it was August.
August or whatever.
Or July, August.
And so what's fun about that is some of my buddies were out of film school and here in LA.
You're working.
And what was kind of fun and cool was I remember having breakfast in Burbank on Monday when I was supposed to be at work back in Carbondale, part of like the video photography group for university housing. So anyways, instead of doing the first day of classes and working, I was having breakfast with my buddy in LA, in Burbank or whatever. And I thought that was really awesome.
That's dope.
You were lucky enough that a big feature was shooting essentially down the street from SIU. You got on board as a PA, right? Because that's what led to you coming out here.
Sure.
And you got to witness a true master at work.
Yeah, literally. Absolutely. I remember it was over that summer, I heard rumors of a David Fincher movie that was going to be shooting in Missouri.
Maybe you, audience, you may or may not have heard of David Fincher before. He made a couple movies.
And so Carbondale, Illinois, southern Illinois, it's not too far away from Cape Girardeau and that part of southern Missouri, which they were going to be shooting. And I remember hearing about it, like, well, that's awesome, but, I don't know anyone a part of that. I mean, just like, like wishful thinking. It would be awesome to work on it. I don't know how, but it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
One of my good friends in film school, he got on as an art, and Jack Pyatt and myself, we just basically worked on basically every student film and personal film project we could ever get going on. We worked together back in college, and he wasn't even in film school. He was a grad student in like mass comm or whatever. But like I cast him as a sheriff in a Western I was making, all these other projects. So anyways,
is there still footage of that? Can we watch it?
Red Creek?
Let's check that out.
It's very ambitious for right out of like film 101. It's great.
Nice.
By that standard alone.
Yeah.
It was very ambitious, and like we learned a lot. From a broad standpoint, definitely a student film, and we learned a lot on it. So that had a lot of value. But anyways, so Jack and I worked on all kinds of different projects together. So we were on really good, very good terms. He got on, and then he hit me up. It's like, hey, one of my buddies, he's in town. Let's go get drinks. And it was one of those times where you need to go get, just like you need to go to this meeting, you need to meet this person. This is definitely one of those times. So we went to like the Cellar. It's like a local bar. It's like the grad school bar most folks go to in college.
Plug for the Cellar.
They have the best Bloody Marys. I mean, I'm not a huge Bloody Mary guy, but like people who are into Bloody Marys swear by them. So if you're in Carbondale, go to the Cellar. So we met there, production office secretary, really cool dude, and he says like, well, just off of meeting you, and what Jack says, you're at the top of the stack as far as like resumes for getting in.
Dude.
So that was pretty cool, but there were no open. Of course. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool I get on. But so school started when this interview happened. So they were in pre-production in Missouri.
Yeah.
As Jack was able to pop in over the weekend, and we were able to hit it up. Because art department always has, with art, it's always front-loaded their work. You have to do a lot of prep work. And then once they're shooting and near the end of the movie,
you get to hang out.
You still got work to do, but it's not as severe as, I don't know how expanded this story. Am I going too
I'm
detailed?
I didn't need to know about the Great Bloody Marys.
I did that.
So you talked to your friend.
All right, so
through networking, you met a connection who was actually on the shoot. You were at the top of the list, but what did it take for you to actually get on set?
All right,
you had never worked on a feature film.
I worked on one indie film. It's shot in Illinois. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's actually a pretty good thriller. It was unpaid.
So what did it take for you to get on this feature film?
So
you're leaving us all in suspense.
All right, so I remember I hit up Jack weeks later. He's like, hey, man, what do you think? He's like, sorry, man, I don't think it's going to work out. I was like, well, thanks, though. All bummed out. I went back to my sad shopping, buying my cheese at Walmart, schlepping towards
guilty.
the checkout.
Yeah, been there.
And I get next morning, about to go to school and whatnot, and I get a text from Jack. It's like 6 in the morning when I get this call. He's like, dude, all right, the production coordinator is going to call you. When you answer it, you need to say yes to it. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do that? Yes.
Doesn't matter what it is, just say yes and figure it out later.
He's like, oh, okay. I'm like getting all excited. He's like, all right, get the call. And he's like, can you do this? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Can you be here today? I was like, I can be there tomorrow morning, and she was cool with that. So I was able to, looking back, I probably should have just said yes. But I took the risk of conversation exactly. Basically, I talked to my professors, just, so it'd be a little closer than just like not even. So I went and talked to everyone, and they were super cool.
Yeah, I just would have sent them an email that said, sorry, I have the flu, I'll be out for a week, bye.
Yeah, so basically I quit my job and dropped out of school, packed up all my stuff in my truck, and drove down to Cape Girardeau and started working on Ragnarok.
What? Damn, that's like a life-changing...
Spoiler, that was the feature film, because he never actually mentioned what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Gone Girl.
Well, it's a David Fincher movie, and there's, that's the last movie in a while.
We get it. That's kind of a ballsy move. Yeah. What was that like?
It's really cool.
Did you was it like a defining moment? Like, did you know this was the thing?
Oh, yeah. And what was so cool about it is I was literally driving there, and the Tom Petty song, Heartbreakers, Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker song came on, Running Down a Dream came on the radio, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, my mind is blown because it's literally exactly what I'm doing. Like if you were to cue up the music and the lyrics, it's like point by point. It's just, I was like, what? So that was a really cool experience. So, just having that song awesome. Cue up like that.
Now, I remember you telling me stories that you're working in camera department. So were you working camera and production, just kind of bouncing back and forth?
I started in production. So I was the office PA.
Okay.
Little office PA. And I hated it. Like I've never really worked in an office before, and I learned very quickly this sucks. I mean, I'm not to poo-poo on it. Like
that's just not your thing.
Just for me personally, like I like to be, running around, working with my hands, being outside, and all the whatnot. That's why art and camera are more kind of my thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was there, and then within a week, I was able to switch over to camera. And the only reason, it was just like a lot in life. It's not like you just have to be at the right place, the right time, and be willing to jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I had the connection. I was willing to jump on to Gone Girl because I didn't know how long that would be, but it was worth dropping out for, like you're going to school, you're going to film school to get on movies. Well, here it is. Like there was no like person saying you need to do this. It's just, shit, I guess I need to do this.
Yeah. You're literally like, oh no, I got to finish film school first, then I'll do it. Like, no, go right now. Like, this is the moment.
If you're going to take away anything from this, just be bold. Go for it.
I like that.
Like there's 2 different times in high school football I remember thinking, I took the safe route. I just jumped on the ball, and I literally could have picked it up and ran with it. Literally, let alone figuratively. And I could have made a full-on touchdown. I like it. And there's another time I got an interception, and the coach was freaking out, yelling at me because I was just on defense. And I was a linebacker, defensive end. And I made the interception. He was screaming, go out of bounds or whatever. And like looking back, I totally should have.
So, okay.
You could have done it, dude.
Now, it's one thing working on a movie that's in the middle of nowhere and you're around.
Yeah.
How did you manage to leverage your experience on Gone Girl into coming out to LA?
All right. So I was an office PA. And while I was there, I remember the secretary told me, like, always just be aware of what's going on. It's just good practice. So I heard the coordinator I heard her talking on the phone. They needed an additional camera assistant.
Okay.
So I just turned around and like raised my hand.
Me.
Yeah. And that led to an interview. And basically they needed one more body, and I was just perfect, right place, right time. Like it was a god. I was able to get the interview, and then he was really, the first AC was really chill about it. And then I became the camera PA.
That's awesome.
And that's how I got on set.
And that was when you were actually standing next to Fincher at times, right?
Day one.
Because I remember you told me, you're like, no, dude, like I was looking into making notes on his phone and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, like I was right there next to camera and everything. That's the beauty of camera department. Like you're in the action right next to everything, especially as just an AC. And it went from.
Were you like super nervous?
Oh, so super nervous. In fact, my first impression in front of everyone on set was like kind of funny and embarrassing.
Well, now you gotta tell us.
So when you start off, you're totally clueless. And what's funny is in college, I was like the go-to guy. Like I was the seasoned veteran filmmaker that knew how to do everything. And it was polar opposite once I was on a real set. Not just a set, a big Hollywood movie set.
Yeah.
So I'm there. He told me which batteries were which, like the VCLX batteries, the Anton Bauer batteries, and the brick batteries. Well, there's like a million batteries for every little component on a camera system. I remember asking him during the interview, how will I know if it's a running situation versus just a walking situation? And I'll let you know. So on the radio, he's like, Aaron, we need an Anton Bauer battery. This is a running situation.
Track star Aaron.
So, and I literally used to be in track. So like, so I like, first of all, never run on set unless it's like an emergency. Never run on set, even if it's like this. You could walk very briskly. It's unsafe and unprofessional.
Thank you, OSHA.
Yeah. Like literally, if it's like unless it's a safety issue, don't run. And I was sprinting. I was full out, balls out, sprinting to the camera van, and then I jump in there like, oh shit, which battery? Oh no, because it's my first day, and thankfully I grabbed the right battery. And so I have this battery in my hand, and I'm sprinting back to set, and over the radar, walk, because he meant to like go very quickly, but not to sprint balls out. So I'm like sprinting with the battery, and by the time I hear and register what he says, like everyone can see me sprinting to set. Everyone's just looking at me, and so in 1 second, have you ever like went from a full sprint to a full walk?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I tried to do. So I went from full sprinting to walking in one motion, and like I'm like breathing through my nose, like in front of everyone as I try to calmly, like no one saw me running earlier.
Here's
like,
that battery.
calmly returning the battery. So that was my first impression in front of everyone.
That's awesome.
My favorite story, can you tell the one about Miss Pike?
Which one?
There are multiple ones. I only know of the one with you wrapping up and having beer.
He's like, I don't think I can tell that.
I'm trying to remember it. I forgot that one. I think I forgot it.
Whoa.
Okay. I vaguely remember
The
it,
story as I remember it was this. This is back once you were in LA. They'd been wrapping up the shoot.
Yeah.
And they're like, Aaron, go in the back, get some beers. So you and the rest of your burly crewmen were out there gathering up a bunch of beer to take to the crew guy. And Rosamund Pike, you know, this gorgeous, classy British actress.
Legit Bond girl.
She is. Walks into the same trailer as you, and she's like looking for like some champagne or something. Because she had just like wrapped her final take. And the way Aaron told it to me was Aaron being Aaron, this hairy, manly crew PA, she's like, oh, is there like any champagne or anything? And Aaron just whips around all his beer and is like, I got some of these. And you said she just gave you the most like disgusted / horrified look that anyone had ever demonstrated in the history of the world.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, maybe I tried to block that one out.
Well, I know it's like I have like a self-coping mechanism, like all embarrassing things I've done. My brain auto blocks. But yeah, I forgot about that one.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's many more embarrassing stories, but that's thankfully you remember that.
Oh, trust me, I'm not letting that one go.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
There's only 3 people that listen to this
and
podcast,
then you're like,
so.
I put it out there, it's gone. I don't want to remember that. We're saying though how you got to LA.
Oh, right.
So they already had a dedicated camera PA on standby waiting for when they were going to do the LA portion of the shoot, because they did all the Missouri location stuff in Missouri, of course, and then all stage work and a few other random exteriors they're going to shoot in LA. Mm-hmm. So like a few more months of shooting here in LA. I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I could get on. And so I talked to Tucker, the first AC, about it. He was like, well, let me talk to the UPM and whatnot. And from that, it went, because they liked me, and they were basically like, well, this is on like a Thursday or a Friday. They're like, if you're there Monday morning, you got the job.
Damn.
So you're telling me that
get your car, like
you made the decision to move across country literally on like 2 days.
So it was like a super rush move, because like I drove down to Cape Girardeau from Carbondale to work on this, but I was staying like at a bed and breakfast.
Right, yeah,
you know. And so I literally had to go back to Carbondale and do like a super rush move, and then I flew out. I think I flew out Saturday or Sunday. Monday morning, like I literally rented a car, couch surfing.
You're like, I'm making movies from here.
And then showed up Monday morning. It was so also bananas because like it was 5 o'clock in the morning in Hollywood on a Hollywood movie. Like it was like not just in LA, but in Hollywood. First movie I've ever worked on. That's awesome. It's a David Fincher movie in Hollywood.
Dude.
So that was
a legendary.
That's pretty
nice. It was so cool.
So after Gone Girl, how did you keep getting more?
All right, so here's the thing. So normally you move out, gradually slog through the terrible stuff, and then you work your way up to bigger, better projects.
Right.
I did kind of an inverse of that.
Yeah, no one does it like the way you do.
Correct.
It.
So I got super lucky, and I was on it, and like I remember when Gone Girl was wrapping up, every once in a while someone would come up to me, and they were like, "Hey, so what are you doing after this?" And I was just so chill and confident. It's like, well, you know, Jeff DP, he's like, he says he's going to be able to get me on some stuff. And like I wasn't nervous at all. It's like they knew something that I didn't. And then I found out what that. So Gone Girl wraps. And yeah, bless his heart, Jeff was so helpful. He's the sweetest, nicest professional DP I've ever worked with. Just a pleasure to work. And he was able to get me on, you know, a few commercial jobs here and there. But, you know, like that's on his call and when he's busy or unless he's on a job in Spain or whatever. So anyways, yeah, that was super helpful. But the thing is, all these other guys, they're working on other big budget movie shows and they don't need a camera PA because normally
it's a David Fincher thing.
Exactly, because like officially, like they kind of poo-poo on that because I was super fortunate because we were just there at the time when it all worked out. But normally, you don't have a camera PA; it's just union ACs and whatnot. So the trick is, all these connections I had were all in union shows, and you can't work in
anything
until you're in the union unless you're in the union. Yeah. So I was a little SOL kind of. So after Gone Girl, that's when it started to suck. You know, working basically random free or part-time gigs for minimum wage in LA. So not only are you making minimum wage,
but you can afford rent.
And,
Yeah, like the cost of living's way higher.
Oh, it's awful. And it's all generally minimum wage jobs, and they're all part-time, and you don't even know when your next one is.
Now, I know you told me kind of during this period you were working as an AD a little bit, you were doing some camera stuff. Had you started working in art at this time?
Yeah.
Going from job to job in LA?
Similar to college, like I'm just a generalist by nature. Like I'm kind of all over the place. Like everything is interesting to me. So basically jumping on whatever AC jobs that I would get, and then there was a few art jobs that I would get. I remember at the time, looking back, I could have gotten a job as an assistant at a camera house. And at the time, it was one of the ACs I worked with. He's like, this is below you. With your connections, you don't need to do that. So I took that hard. So I didn't take that jump. In fact, I applied to a camera house, and like I literally met Mr. Keslow, like Keslow Camera. Like
what?
I literally met Mr. Keslow when Jeff was prepping there on a Mercedes job or something.
Dude.
And so the opposite of and it was funny, like, oh, you should talk to so and so, and I talked to him, like, oh, you should talk to so and so. Like I did a reverse of the chain of command, so it finally worked down to. The secretary and the person taking application. Theory is, I didn't go past the second interview, whatever. My theory is like, well, he's doing enough freelance work. He's not going to stick around long, so we're not going to hire him. Because that's happens. So, because you don't want to hire someone and then, they work for 2 months and then they're like, you're on bigger and better jobs.
Now, one of the connections you got actually scored you a pretty sweet opportunity to go travel to a couple different countries on feature films.
Yeah.
With the same production crew. Was that just sort of a luck of the draw thing? Was that just building a network? And I mean, because you did 3 international films through them?
And where did you go?
No, I did. Well, I've done 3 international ones. 2 was for art as a production designer, and then 1 was as a first AC in camera, which just last year. So the first 2 international jobs was one in Dubai and one in Korea. And it was branded content for the Marriott.
Oh, I think I remember when you
Well,
went.
and one was a travel job in Chicago. So, technically I did 3. The whole who you know, very helpful. So my roommate, he was the first AD on these projects.
Gotcha.
So that was obviously very helpful.
When you move out to LA and you're looking for roommates, find someone who is like a first AD.
Yeah, I mean...
Now, can I ask you had a couple of projects where you had worked internationally. You had a project with David Fincher's name on it. Do you think in any way that actually maybe inhibited your ability to get work early on? Or do you think it helped? I mean, just because obviously, well,
it's a great credit to have. Anything with like Fincher, Spielberg, any big, movie, it definitely helps, even if it's just as a PA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if your contacts are just big boy union contacts, it's a little harder to pull off.
It's like a big gap between...
Yeah, it's that huge thing, because until you're in the union, they officially can't hire you,
Yeah.
Because, and I totally get it now, especially after being in the union, because you could just hire a bunch of non-union PAs.
So
and pay them.
Let's talk about that. You now work in your union art director.
Yeah, non-art. That's 800. I'm in the property union, so prop masters, set decorators.
Okay.
So that's local union 44.
How did you get it?
All right,
Let's break it down that basically.
So I started working on random art projects, and half the time on these lower budget ones, you're the one-man band or one-man army. Like, you just have to figure it out.
Yes.
The lower scale ones are the worst ones because you have the least amount of resources and they're asking for the most things.
Yeah, they want you to do everything.
It's just awful.
You're the art guy.
It's
do the wardrobe.
It's trial by fire.
Can you do hair and makeup?
Yeah. But it's great training, because you're dealing with these awful, requests, and then you get hopefully not burned too bad, but you learn a lot. You develop a real tough skin. Just be careful because you get burned out, especially if you're stuck in that world. That's when it really sucks. One thing to work on it for a little bit, but when you're like a 60-year-old man working for $200 a day, that's and I've heard stories about it. So from there, ideally it leads to a slightly bigger, better problem. So one way to get into the union is you work on a non-union show that's big enough of a budget that it'll flip. It'll flip you. So basically, if it's like over $1 million or whatever, everyone will kind of get together and like, hey, I think this is worth flipping. So they'll like talk to the local unions and whatnot. And the unions will help you out.
So it brings everybody on board?
Basically, the thing is like, all right, we're all in agreement. All the crew is, you flip this show union or we're not going to work. That's kind of my understanding of it all.
Sounds like a union.
Yeah, right? Okay. And so sometimes that can go both ways. Sometimes the person's like, nah, you guys can go, we'll hire new, we'll rehire.
You're like, oh shit.
But it's such a big pain in the butt because they only have to pay a little bit more. Like, I don't know the full numbers, but usually half the time they budget that in. If they know it might flip, they might have that built into the budget. So they have, like, just in case it does happen, if it's likely, if it's right on the edge like that, they'll have the money, cooked into the cost.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's just keep going.
So
exactly, because like you're midway through the river, you might as well keep the same crew and like pay a little more, and then your union days. Yeah. And so you have to have 30 union days, and then you can pay the money, take the.
Is that 30
classes.
Total or in a month?
30 total.
Okay.
You have 1 year to get all 30 days, and what sucks is I know a guy, awesome, talented guy. He's got like 28 days, and his days expire in like a month from now.
Damn, he's on the hot seat then.
Yeah, it really sucks. Like I hope he's able to get his days. Like I've asked and tried to get him on, and it hasn't worked for me getting him on anything. But hopefully he can get it, because it sucks because it really is designed to be hard to get into the union, at least for LA.
Well, because then it protects the guys in the union.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah. Plus, you think, I mean, obviously we're all Midwest guys. A lot of the people we've interviewed, I mean, a lot of people come here, and I mean, you just have people flooding the job market.
So, before we talk about working on union projects, I remember you told me a story about a film you did in the desert with a little-known actor named William Shattner.
Yeah, and Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I just remember this was funny.
It's called Senior Moment, and it's still not out. And this is awful.
Awesome.
They were awesome. They were great. My department head, she was an awful.
Well, that's
she's one of the worst
fine.
human beings I've ever worked with.
You need a story about Shattner. You're on set. Shatner in front of the grocery store.
I feel bad telling a story. I don't want to shed a light on him.
No, this is hilarious.
It was a little deserved.
No,
it was a little deserved.
No, okay.
If you full context.
Let me preface this. They had the closed set. Obviously this is at a grocery store, so people are around it. But they were doing their job, which is trying to keep people from interfering with production because they're shooting a movie. And what happened?
All right, so this is in Palm Springs. It's really, really hot. And
sounds about right.
It's in the desert. And so Bill's out there holding the prop grocery bags and whatnot. We're filming, we're shooting, we're trying to get it, and there's this little old lady that walks out. It's like in the shot, and like the PAs are trying to screw her away, and she wouldn't leave. And she's like, "Oh, William Shattner, I'm such a big fan." And all he said was, "Fuck you! Get the hell out of here!
Get out of the shot!"
I remember this like our first day. It's like, did that just happen? But to be fair, like she was breaking all the rules and not leaving.
Well,
and we were supposed to be there. It was locked off, and she was breaking all the rules. Just wanted to talk to the star.
And you had the signs up that were saying, "Hey, don't walk through our set."
Yeah, and like she's ruining the shot. It's really hot out, and like everyone's trying to get this thing and move on because we have limited time and budget.
Right.
And she's ruining it, and she's not leaving. So with all those,
it was well deserved.
Please don't. That's why I even hate telling the story because he's a great guy. He was always so kind to me and very respectful. What I noticed was if people were unprofessional, he called them out on it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it really comes down to.
Sounds fair, though.
If people were unprepared.
Been in the industry for how long?
Yeah, he's old school, in the best ways.
Were you on time?
I was. It was funny as like the BS I had to deal with, like looking back at it.
So
it was very painful. There's a non-union show that flipped. So on that lower end sketch, on that lower end tiers, you have to deal with a lot of BS that you don't have to deal with on bigger budgeted shows.
Now that you are in the union, obviously I know you got the opportunity to work on a couple really, really cool projects. Yeah. You did a little bit of time on Tarantino's latest project.
Correct. What?
Yeah.
No way. Well,
that's
exciting. Signed an NDA, yeah.
No,
that's the thing.
I'm not going to ask you questions about it. A chance to actually observe Tarantino working.
I wanted to, but no.
I mean, obviously, I know you guys are there way before the rest of production.
I know Prop Master. She was able to work on set for a little bit as one of the day players. So she did. But yeah, I was in set deck. So just one of the set dressers. So yeah, so as a set dresser and a decorator or a lead man, that's all under set decoration. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is even though technically it is, like officially it's not a part of art department even. Really? So I used to say art department and like, dude, you're not in art department, you're in set deck. It's so weird when you work on the bigger shows.
Sounds like you're in a fraternity, dude.
I guess so. Yeah, it's really interesting.
So
you work with these centrists that are like in their 50s, that have kids and are about ready to retire. It's like a totally different mindset. But yeah, they're really good.
You've also had the opportunity to work on one of my favorite shows, and I know you have to be careful what you say because they're still in production. Westworld.
Yes.
Obviously, getting on a production like that, I think, has got to be everybody's dream. You get all the cool stuff in terms of costume and prop, and there's just cool stuff happening.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was it overwhelming? Obviously, the production value on the show is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have the budget to do what they want to do. Yeah, it's pretty neat working on the big shows. Like, whoa, this is how the big folks do it,
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
And like, how long, like, is your job? Because they only shoot for part of the year, right? They don't shoot.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't on for the whole thing, so I was just a day player. I wasn't core crew. So I'm trying to think what can I get away with saying and whatnot.
No, if you're not sure, don't say anything. That's okay. Yeah. I think it's got to be awesome, right? As someone working
cool.
on that side of film, like that's got period aspects.
It's really cool. Like I'm a sucker for science fiction and westerns, so I was so blessed.
That's kind of the best of both.
Thing. Yeah, it's a pretty cool combo. Yeah, folk real professional and know what they're doing.
Can I ask you this question?
Yes.
Obviously, you've been there for the third season. After the fires that rolled through, how did that really mess things up? And from kind of art set deck side of things, was that a big challenge, or did they just do what they do and they just found a way to adapt?
I don't want to give into like details or whatnot, but
and if you can't, okay,
yeah, there's workarounds, there's ways to do stuff. Not a non-issue, I guess, on the story. Like, oh, Westworld set burns down. Like that's not really what happened. Like, yeah, there's parts that got burned up, but it's not what we're imagining. Like everything in Westworld that didn't happen.
That's good to know.
I know I did want to, it's a little change of direction here, but I did want to ask, I know you said your goals are like writing and directing.
Yeah.
Do you have any projects that you're working on maybe on the side? Or how are you kind of pursuing the writing and directing?
I do. Yeah, I got a few sidebar to that. I remember when I first started on Gone Girl, this when I was still in camera as a PA, one of the prop assistants, she told me, don't even join the union.
Really?
Yeah, I found that really interesting. She basically said you'll get real comfortable. You're not going to pursue what you want to do. The whole like stay hungry type deal.
Sure.
And I totally understand the logic. And I think what that really comes down to is most people, once they start making more money, they just start spending more money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it really comes down to. I was watching a thing on George R.R. Martin. He used to be
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Of the books. He used to do television and whatnot. And then he was tired of, certain pilots or features like, oh, we can't do this, it's too expensive and this and that, or it's going to be watered down.
Yeah.
So, screw it. I'm just going to write this series that
I want to write.
So, when it came time, people were approaching him wanting to adapt it. He could afford to say no because it was too ambitious to make as a huge show. So like, well, we'll make a movie version of it and we'll cut this out. It's like, no. He said he lived within his means, so he could afford to say no.
Gotcha. I like that.
And so like if you're going to pursue the Hollywood dream, whatever that may be, definitely learn how to live within your means so you can afford to say no to projects. Because I've experienced this firsthand where I turned down certain jobs, and I'm so glad I did because that allowed me to work on bigger, better jobs. Or develop passion projects or whatever it may be. Because I'm so glad I was, because like if you're under the gun and in debt and all these things, or
you gotta take
exactly. And like I knew an electrician, that really talented dude, and he easily could have been a gaffer. Again, I'm not against family. I'm all about having a family. He had 8 kids and all this stuff, and cars and mortgage and whatnot. He couldn't afford to not work.
Yeah,
right.
He couldn't afford to take lower paying gaffing jobs. He had to take full rate electrician jobs. And so there's nothing wrong with that.
But if you
have grandeur,
do something, decide what you're doing. Yeah, it's limiting.
Yeah, and so here's like kind of the rough general rule of stuff. Whatever position you're at right now, whatever you want to do, no one's just going to hand you the keys to the kingdom. So if you want to step up to that role, usually it's going to be for free or at a lower rate, right? So wherever you're set at, if you want to do that, if you want to be a director, if you want to do this, you want to do that, if you want to do it, if it's unpaid, you have a better chance of being able to do it, or very low pay. And again, the more experience you have, the more credits you have, the higher you can command and how much you get paid.
Yeah. It's kind of like you got to put in You got to put in some work, most likely unpaid. Just to it's not unpaid. You're getting paid in the credits.
Oh yeah.
So then
And it's the experience.
yeah.
And if it is free, if you screw up, who cares?
That's
True.
a good
You know
point,
what I
too.
mean? Like no matter what you want, if you want to be a designer, a DP, director, writer, whatever, if it's unpaid and it's not that good, who cares? It's unpaid. It's a student film. It's a this. It's a that.
Yeah.
So screw up on the free ones so you don't feel bad about it and it's free. So when it is time to get on the paid jobs, like, well, I've already done this before. So you don't have to the whole fake it till you make it. You've already done it.
Yeah.
You know. So when
I've
that
already
time-
screwed this up. So
Exactly. So like we're definitely all human.
I got the experience.
It's less stressful. So by the time you are getting that nice full rate job, you're like, oh,
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Shifting gears a little bit. Obviously, you had a whole life before you decided to kind of go back to school, get into entertainment. You were in the military. I'm always surprised at how many people I do meet who do have a military background and are now working in the industry. I don't know what's going on.
the parade.
That's what it sounds like. How fun. That's the joys of downtown LA. You never know what you're going to capture on mic.
By the way, we shot part of Gone Girl right next to here
Really?
in the
Like the alley down
the
there?
library,
Oh,
the
wow.
last bookstore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
It's
Shout
when,
out.
it's when Amy and was it Nick Dunn?
Yeah.
When it was on the call sheet. It said celebrate their anniversary.
Yeah.
See in the library. So
Crazy.
that was at the last
played.
bookstore.
Watch the movie.
That's in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
What is that community? And are there any reasons you can recommend for people who are
Absolutely.
saying, "Hey, I used to
Absolutely.
do this,
Yeah.
but this is my passion. This is how I."
I even have I'm on the email thread.
That's pretty cool. Like, I mean, as somebody that, is not, not from a military family, not in the military, I didn't even know that those resources were there.
Aaron, I assume you can give more details on this, but succeed in the industry is building that network, as you said. Who
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So if you have people and you have groups who can connect you with people and connect you with resources, take advantage of it.
Absolutely. I thought about this just yesterday. There's been opportunities I've biffed on that I could have just again taking up the ball and running with it instead of just jumping on it or failing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those examples. Luck is just was it hard work and preparation?
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Luck
There's-
is when hard work meets preparation.
Exactly. There's a lot of things I could have just hustled harder on earlier on, and I'd be that much farther ahead now.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But yeah, the veteran thing, there's a group called Veterans in Media and Entertainment. Their acronym is VME. It's VMEconnect.org. And it's a thing that helps get you going. They have different programs, different internships. I've signed up, and full disclosure, I haven't really utilized them, honestly. But they do exist. And I mean, you're one friend away from having that connection and job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's all friend-based, network-based.
Well, I mean, I think we've all had a little bit of experience. I met you through Christian.
Yeah.
You're always,
Yeah.
that's
And it's
how
that
you
workshop.
meet people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But being a good person, being someone you want to hang out with, who would you rather work with? Some asshole or some person you enjoy spending time with? Ideally, they're really good at their job and they're cool.
I'm glad
Yeah,
you brought
really.
it up
Definitely
because
that.
there's always this perception outside of media, right, that all these people are divas and
Some of them are.
difficult to work with.
Some of them
Yeah.
absolutely are.
No, and that's true. But I think the thing that once you're inside, you realize those people are few and far between because no one wants to work with them, and the ones who are
I
are
wish-
really, really good, though.
You mean the ones that are assholes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They earn the right.
I wish this part wasn't true, but it is true. Sometimes they're assholes and they're not good, but they're still getting work.
Yeah, I don't know how that. Rich uncles, I
You
guess.
could. And I wish they were all great, cool people to work with that were competent. But not all the
But
not all the time.
I guess
You
all
get
I'm
a-
trying
you
to
get a
say
mix.
before we tumble down the dyers of the entertainment industry,
Yeah.
I mean, you do bring up a good point, right? If you work hard and you're good to work with, people will want to work with you again.
Yeah, it helps because here's the thing about all jobs: they're all temporary, and they're all an interview for the next job.
Yeah.
Good point.
So generally, you're not
really good
generally.
advice.
I mean, unless it's a real extreme example, they won't just outright fire you. Instead,
You just won't.
you
be
won't
hired.
get called back.
Yeah.
You won't get any more texts.
Mhm.
That's kind of what happens. That's like the passive aggressive way of getting fired. You don't get called
Stop
back.
calling.
I've definitely burned bridges on accident or unintentionally, or other times people have said, "Oh, Aaron, you're great. We can't blah blah." All the great compliments, and then radio silence afterwards. And sometimes it's as simple as they'll hit you up a few times, and then you're busy, and then they just stop hitting you up. So you burn the bridge just by being busy.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, nutty industry. But again, the better you are at your job, whatever that is, the more opportunities you have and the more picky.
Sure.
Whereas it can be a higher rate job, more prestige, just a better life.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked by a low budget shoot coming here, and it was just like, oh, I've been there. It sucks. There's nothing romantic about indie films.
Is that over by Christian Square?
Yeah.
We passed the same one.
Yeah. And I don't mean to poo-poo them, but I've been on them, I worked on them, I've organized them, and they suck. They're painful. Ugh.
Yeah, but see, it's weird because when you're looking up at that, it probably looks awesome, right?
Yeah,
that's why you did it, because you're
totally.
like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, if
you
I
go
was
to the other side, you get to
yeah.
look back, you're like, oh no.
How things look at 22 are very different from how they look at 32. One of my friends, he's a production designer. He's worked with this amazingly talented art director that did what he was able to pull off. He was basically able to build this custom kayak and fort set in 1840s upstate New York, and did all this for under $1,000.
What?
That's insane.
Yeah.
But the more what I'm getting at is, dude is now in his 70s and still working on shit jobs, $200 a day, and that's not right. He's way too talented to be working at $200 a day.
Yeah.
That's something that's totally fine when you're 22, not when you're 62 or 70 or whatever. It's not just being great at your job, full life decisions. I've worked with set dressers that have 3 homes, rental properties, and all this other stuff. And other folks just got divorced and are broke. All they have is a car to their name, crashing at a hotel or a buddy's place, and they're in their late 50s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just because the job pays well doesn't mean it's going to be there forever. And to circle back to what we were talking about earlier with the not joining the union, if you live within your means, when you start making more money, don't scale up. Keep that cost of living low.
Yeah.
So you can make those creative decisions. You can afford to say no to jobs to focus on what you really want to do at your capacity or what you want to do and whatnot.
Dude, no, that's nice.
Because once you get locked in with, you got a new car, you got a mortgage, you got this, you got that, and you really are stuck.
Yeah.
You have to take those jobs because you literally cannot afford to do what you really want to do, and then you're in a slog wishing you woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yep. Solid. That's really good advice. Let's now talk about some movies, shall we?
Yeah.
Movie talk.
We were bouncing some ideas back and forth, and obviously you said one of the movies that you love is
Thor Ragnarok.
I love it.
Yes.
Now, if you don't like Marvel movies, then you can just hang up. Just hang up the podcast. We're done.
I hope everybody's listening with their phone to their Thor. As far as Marvel goes, it's one of those movies that really stands out because I wouldn't describe it as a comedy,
And there will be
but there's
Thor spoilers throughout, so
there's just so much humor in it.
Oh, it's great.
That it's to me, that's really the defining characteristic for that movie that makes it so rewatchable.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I jokingly call it, that's my favorite Star Wars movie that's been recently made.
That's awesome.
It's fun, awesome, and kind of sad for reflection of Star Wars. But that's what made Star Wars so great. I don't know if it's the best analogy. For Ragnarok, it's just fun, rewatchable, visually amazing. Score is great. Chris Hemsworth is brilliant. It's like a action comedy. He's gonna have such a great, amazing, long career.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When you can pull off action and comedy like he does.
Yeah,
that's an incredible combination.
I really liked what they did with the character Thor in the movie, which was, he literally kind of loses everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, first it's his hammer, then it's his hair, then it's his eye, then it's
his
Asgard. Yeah, his dad. They literally take all of these things from him, and you kind of, I guess the moral for me was that those things don't really define who he is as a character, right? The literal lesson I think Odin tells him in a vision is that the power was always within you.
I love that. What, did I make you the god of hammers?
Yeah.
That's such a great line.
It is a great
line. Yeah.
Right?
There's another line that I've been taking on myself is when I need your help, or talking to Odin, he's like, I'm on a different path now.
Yeah.
And I remember this personal thing. My sister, she's got 2 boys, another one on the way, and like they're living the whole married life. I don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
And you always feel like behind the ball, and you know, friends back home and
life, yeah.
And I remember thinking like the choices I've made, the career I chose, I'm on a different path.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
that mindset of I'm on my own path now, or a different path.
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I like any Marvel movie with Loki.
Yeah.
Like he's a great character to have in any scene.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. Like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah,
and
he finally goes. I mean, you find out more in Avengers at the beginning of Infinity War. He had a great arc. Thor had a great arc, and what you said earlier, even though he loses everything, like if anything, like tragedy with failure, with loss, it really truly reveals what you are made of.
Yeah.
You know, so despite all that, he was still going to fight that stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. And then, you know, obviously there's a lot of symbolism, you know, as Christian mentioned, you know, a little spoiler alert, but you know, he loses his eye, kind of takes Odin's place as the king of Asgard. But one of the things that really stood out to me too was that even though, like, this movie, first of all, please tell me you guys enjoyed the score.
Oh, it's great.
It's
I've literally
fantastic.
I've just played that on Spotify.
Yeah, I'll put that on. I'm like, that's just fun. Even though, like, this movie feels very different from Thor and Dark World, it is very much the third chapter in that trilogy. Like,
no,
it
you're
fits
totally right.
perfect.
I mean,
you almost have, like, in Thor 1, he essentially gets humbled and kind of rejects the throne.
Yeah, like when he doesn't have anything, how does he respond to that? Granted, it's temporary, but that makes him a good hero versus a selfish, arrogant hero.
Yeah, he's essentially an arrogant hero.
Yeah.
You know, he's that, you know, he's like flipping tables over and he's like,
another
assholes, let's go their asses, you know? And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then, but okay, so you have the Dark World where then I think Thor at the end is like, hey, I could be king, but now I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
And then you have him actually take up the throne here. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was if you rewatch Thor 1, Odin tells him his actions won't get him where he wants to go. And when you look at Ragnarok and the villain of Hela and how she actually like helped Odin conquer worlds, and then he realized like that's not really, we shouldn't be doing that. It made me realize that like he's trying to tell Thor without telling him, hey, your sister did this and she's in hell.
Yeah.
So be better.
Yeah.
You know, I know what I'm talking about.
And it's interesting too because, right, there's this kind of conversation about the throne through all of Thor movies. In the third one, really, Thor finally learns that lesson that being a leader, it's not about title. It's not about your domain. It's about being able to sacrifice for the people that you're leading. And I mean, that point is very clear to him at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty brilliant, dude.
I actually, too, I remember leaving the theater the first time I saw it, and I kind of thought Hela was like a little bit of a stock villain. Like, she just kind of like, I'm here to take over Asgard. But I ended up reading a review somewhere, I don't remember where, and they talked about how her character is actually like a stand-in for colonialism.
Oh,
and
I see that. Yeah.
how like she helped Odin like conquer all of these worlds. She even says, I mean, ironically, she's like, I'm gonna make Asgard great again. And
I never even caught that.
yeah, like, but it's just funny because like, you know, they're essentially like treating, you know, Asgard more here as like a colonial empire.
Yeah, with like a questionable past.
Right.
Like, you
and
didn't
so,
just become great.
yeah,
you know.
we did a lot of bad, like she even says to Thor when he like walks up to the throne, she's like, where did you think all this gold came from? You know, and you realize that like
Howard Zinn version of Asgard background.
Yeah.
But I don't know, to me, like there were a lot of elements in the film that I was like, damn, this movie actually is really good. Yeah. You brought up the film, and I'll throw it over to you. What is your favorite scene in that movie?
When he fights Hulk. There's 2 parts I love. I love the opening because it's classic Thor, and he just whoops ass with Led Zeppelin playing. No, 3 parts. That part, so that part, the Hulk.
You mean the part once he gets the hammer back and he just is swinging through guys?
Very beginning. And then it's just a great fun opener that establishes the character you've never watched a Thor movie before, you know.
And I will say this, there's a shot with, I don't know if it's a dragon or whatever the fuck it is, like following him as he's flying. And like, there's silhouettes against like this orange sky. I was like, damn, that looks really dope.
It's visually gorgeous.
Yeah,
too.
I was like, that looks amazing.
Yeah, like I almost feel bad, like people don't give it the credit it deserves because it visually, cinematically, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like there's that scene. It's like a real famous art style when they have when Loki touches the Valkyrie. What's her name?
Oh yeah.
There's that flashback.
I guess they just call her Val.
And there's that flashback, and it's all like at a high frame rate, super slow mo. It's like it looks like a painting.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the style. Like there's a very specific name for it, but it's just gorgeous. It's like a moving painting.
Yeah.
Of showing that scene. So that alone is gorgeous. Yeah, I'm like, there's so many.
Well, so you
awesome
said
bits
the opening scene when he gets
the Hulk fight, and then at the end
on the Rainbow Bridge,
on the Rainbow Bridge,
where it's playing Zeppelin, and he doesn't have a hammer anymore.
Yeah, but what's fun is I think why it's so fun and watchable. Like every scene is great for the most part.
Well,
like that's
in Stan Lee's cameo. He's the one who gets to cut his hair. Like, hey,
and the relationship between Thor and Loki it's always been one of the best in the MCU, and they really, you get a lot of it in the right way. Yeah, and I mean, it was cool that I know, the Hulk's probably, at least through Endgame, it didn't end up getting another film, but that was supposed to be part Planet Hulk too, right? The comic storyline, which I guess it is pretty close because they do go to Sakaar or whatever it is,
and it's the most close to like Jack Kirby's designs and whatnot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's just fun. Now I kind of want to watch it. I mean,
so this is an observation I made. My roommate and myself, we watch it all the time, like it queues up. And I heard someone else talking about Thor Ragnarok, and they watched it on Netflix a lot. It's a fun, rewatchable movie.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a good movie to watch. It's a lot of fun. And in many ways, I think it kind of shows, it captures that essence of what we love about comedies.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like, it never takes itself too seriously, despite the fact that, like, it's a movie about dark themes like genocide and imperialism and
right?
Yet it's such an
the
awesome
apocalypse
action comedy. Like it's just great.
But makes it fun.
But it's got some incredibly dark elements to it when you really think about it.
Yeah, I think what's the line he says, and almost every time it's kind of goofy. Thor says like, "That's what heroes do."
That's what heroes do. And he throws the ball.
And like it hits him, or like something happens to him, and he's like, "Oh shit!" It's kind of like a recurring theme of like they're almost hey, we're all. This is the god of thunder, the lord of thunder, and then he gets a ball slammed into his face, and you're like, yeah, you gotta help. You can't help but like just enjoy the fun of it all.
Oh man, yeah, it's a good movie. It's definitely a good movie. I don't know if I'd say it's the best Marvel one, but I would definitely put it in my top 5.
Yeah, it's up there.
I'm gonna play that score on my way home.
You should, because it's a good one.
It's so good. And we didn't even. Jeff Goldblum was great.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just being Jeff Goldblum.
What does he say? He's like, when he hits the guy with the death stick,
"You are officially pardoned from
life."
I mean, I even love the scene with Doctor Strange, which is kind of, when I first saw it, it felt very out of place. It's a great interaction between two characters that really never interact at all in the MCU.
Yeah.
Loki's funny in it. Thor is great in it.
Yeah. Oh, Chris Hemsworth when he again, the whole physical comedy too, not just how he delivers lines, but like there's that ornate statue with the elements on it, and he like touches it or does something, and it just totally collapses. It's a little bitty example of his, talent when it comes to physical comedy. Like that reminds me of Chevy Chase, when Chevy Chase would do those kind of.
Yeah, no, that's a good example.
And Chevy Chase is brilliant when it comes to that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I think something like that actually happened. I think it's actually the brother-in-law in Christmas Vacation. But like he has like a tree thing and like he touches it and it like
Cousin Eddie.
Yeah, Cousin Ed. Yeah. And then Chevy Chase tries to like put it back together and it falls apart again on him.
Yeah, it's so.
All right, guys. Well,
Aaron, any last second advice or any plugs you got to make? Who do you got to give
shout
a
out
to?
For you guys for having me on. For sure.
We really appreciate it. Yeah. Like we said, the goal is really just to reach out to people in the industry. We want to hear the stories, get the advice, things. I always talk about it from, my Midwest background is like when I was growing up, I had big dreams, but the stories that I heard were from Spielberg or from, these big guys. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to sneak onto, the lot. Yeah. So hearing from people and tell us like, hey, here's how to get on set as a PA. Here's how to take this job and help it get to your next job.
Here's what not to do.
Yeah, here's how you get a film into a film festival or something. It's so valuable. We just really appreciate your insight and your stories. Thank you.
How can any projects coming out in the short future that you want to promote, and how can our audience hit you up on social media?
Connect.
Because I'm sure they got questions for your
what my handle, like Maker Bomb on Instagram. I mean, I'm
You
still
post to Instagram.
yeah.
I see your posts.
I'm not an expert in that. Like, yeah, I could be doing a much better job at that. Like, I'm not at a marketing launch level right now, honestly.
Okay, but they can theoretically find you on
yeah,
Instagram.
you can find me.
They can
There's
find
not
you
many
on Facebook.
there's like 16 Aaron makers in the world per Facebook. So I'm the one in the movie industry.
Yeah, side note, I don't know if this is good or bad, but like if you Google my name, Dustin Garbasiak, I am the only one that comes up. So it's nice, but it's also like if there's anything out there, it's easy to find.
Nice.
Thank you for not actually giving an answer to what you have on social media and be like, you might be able to find me, you might not. I don't know. There's stuff out
I'm
there.
out there. If you really want to find me, you'll find me.
We'll post links to Aaron so you can.
It won't be that hard because all you have to do is contact me at Big Kid D-Man or
me at IndyCal5,
and we'll connect it.
And our stuff's the same across social media. I don't think Aaron's is.
Yeah, we'll connect the dots.
On that note, dude, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, we'll definitely have you back on. You can tell us more stories about all these projects that you're working on that you're not allowed to talk about because of NDAs. Awesome. Aaron, thank you for coming on.
All right, to all of our listeners, we appreciate you tuning in. Really hope you enjoyed the show.
Let us know if you have thoughts or questions or
shoot us
opinions,
comments on social media, and we'll be back again for another episode.
See you next time.